Hi there, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today for another of my Halloween or Christmas, you choose, videos. This is a series where I'm using the same main product, but I'm making a Halloween version and a Christmas version, just really to see which one you prefer and to show just how versatile some of our products are. So I'm today using Gnome for the holidays. I have already done a video some wee while ago, and if you search for the tag Gnome for the holidays, you will find the previous project that I did, where I did a Christmas and non-Christmas. So this time is Christmas and Halloween, so a little different. But I'm using some of the same techniques. So this is the stamp set. It is gorgeous. Pinterest is covered with Gnome for the holidays projects, so go and have a look at those if it is a set that you are even slightly tempted by. Sentiments are there's no place like Gnome for the Christmas season. You're a friend like no mother, a little Christmas wish, and holly jolly everything. So clearly for Halloween I'm going to need something different, and I am actually going to make the Halloween project today because the Christmas one's fairly straightforward. But let me show you the ones that I have made. So this is my Christmas version. I'm using the plaid tidings 6x6 designer series paper for both, well, all three of the projects. So this I've used Seaside Spray at the background. I inked up my embossing folder with Versamark, and then I inked up the raised area, so the snowflakes. That then pushes Versamark into the paper, put some silver embossing powder over the top. I did have to brush some of the embossing powder off some of the flat areas, but it was fine. Heat it up, and then you get these lovely snowflakes in the background. Misty Meadow, not Misty Meadow, Misty Moonlight, again with silver embossing, and then our little chaps. And this, oh, I didn't put one on the top. I forgot. No, I need to put one on the top. So these are the holiday rhinestones, which are actually in the annual catalogue. So I'm going to take a pumpkin pie, oops, and pop that as the top of her hat in place of the star. So these are all just from that. I did cut one off. So here there is one kind of halfway around the back. I cut that off because it was never going to be possible to have half a gemstone. And I popped one over here just to tie the whole thing across. So that's the Christmas one. This was the first of the Halloween ones that I made. I'm going to make a similar version for this video. You may be able to see that I've got glimmer on her, or both of their faces, and they've got this slightly green hue to them. This slightly green complexion, a bit like Wicked. So, yeah, that green. Okay, so let me stop procrastinating and get on and show you how I've made it. I've got my stamps mounted up. I'm going to need the basic black marker. Currently it's out of stock in Europe, but it should be coming back soon, fingers crossed. So I need to do my stamping first. I'm going to stamp my chap first, and the reason I'm using this rather than an ink pad is because I don't want all of the image to stamp. So I'm using the side of my pen. So it's the brush end, but it's the side, not the tip. So get that all inked up. And then I want the outside of his hat, but I want to try as much as I can to avoid the snowflakes. And of his moustache. And I don't want the bell on the end. So that's that inked. I'm going to huff, just breathe over it and stamp him down. And there we have our gnome without the snowflakes. And then I'm going to do the same thing for our lady, and this time I'm going to leave out the baubles and also the little bit of holly on her apron. So I want to leave out anything that would obviously be Christmas, quite happy for her to have a tree on her head, but I don't want it to look like a Christmas tree. So this one is slightly trickier, but only slightly. It's not the end of the world if you get these edge ones on, because we're going to be fussy cutting anyway. So I'll leave that open, as in not inked. And this is one of those ones where you need to have a little bit of patience. So do remember, if this is the first time you've visited my channel, I do paper crafting, not every day a week, most days of the week. So if you like paper craft projects, please subscribe. I do not edit my videos, so if something goes wrong, you get to have a little giggle while I try and sort out the mess. But that's just how I go. Right, okay. Ooh, her mouth. Missed her mouth. Right, okay. And there should be room for her just there. There we go. And then I can fill in the missing areas. So here, with the writing end of my Stampin' Write marker, and there. And there. I think that's everything that's missing. So I've got an interesting selection of blends to use. So let me start with their complexions. I'm going to actually do him first. So I'm going to start with my ivory, but I'm going to bring in my light shaded spruce. Shaded spruce is in the paper. Now, this is ivory, but if we want a slightly green complexion, you just have to touch your ivory to the shaded spruce and you pick up the smallest amount of ink. So what I tend to do is colour with my ivory where I want it, and then just touch a little bit and then add that in. If you go straight in with your coloured tip, it can end up being a bit blodgy. Blodgy is technical for like that. I don't want that, I want a hue. So I want it to blend across. There we go. And actually I want green hands as well, really, don't I? There we go. And while I'm doing one, I might as well do the other. So again, I'm going to colour her. Now, this should have dried a bit more. In fact, I think I might bring in my heat gun just to dry the ink a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to run a bit too much. So right. I don't mind it smudging a little bit, particularly as it is the Halloween version, but I don't want it smudging too much. So let's take the lid off here and give her a nice green nose and some green cheeks. And a green mouth. There we go. Clean that off before you put the lid on so that you know it's clean. Oops, and of course, put the right lid on the right pen. Good grief. Okay, so that's the complexion done. Now let's do his hat. His hat is going to be shaded spruce. I'm not doing hers as a tree. I'm going to deliberately not, so that it doesn't look too much like it is a tree. I want it to just be a hat, really. Right, so this is light shaded spruce still. And then colour that in. And then come in with dark shaded spruce. I'm going to go around the edge with dark shaded spruce. And then across his the bottom of his hat. And then I think that's a bit of a crease, so we'll put a crease there and a crease there. And then come in with our light again and just blend that out. Like that. Okay, so while we've got this out, the shaded spruce, I'm going to give her a shaded spruce dress. So that's the shadow. And then we can come in with the light and just blend that a bit. Oh, I could have zoomed in, couldn't I? Shall I zoom in so that you can see a bit better? Probably about as far in as I'm going to be able to go, bearing in mind I'm always bound to move things. Right, so I've got rich raspberry, because that again is one of the colours in the paper. So just making sure I'm in camera. So light rich raspberry. And dark rich raspberry. So I'm going dark on the edges and in the shadow. So it's as if the light is coming from straight ahead. And then come back in with the light and blend that out. Like that. And if you find that it's not got enough differentiation, you can come in with the colour lifter and just add a highlight down the middle. But I would then colour that out, but then come in again just to soften those edges a wee bit. There we go. So she's got a definite stripe down the middle, and we can even do that with him as well, so we can just try not to have anything that's too straight. Right, okay, so he is going to be wearing rich raspberry on his clothing. So this is the light. And then dark. His boots. And we'll give her dark boots as well. Okay, so we just need to do hair and her apron. So let's start with her apron. So I'm doing a light pumpkin pie, also in the paper. Dark pumpkin pie. So I'm going to say that's all in shadow. There's a shadow under her arms, obviously. And we'll have a shadow down the side. and a bit of a dirty bottom to her apron, and then blend that out. Like that. And then I'm going to grab, oops, sorry about that. Ooh, I wanted my Cajun Craze and I don't seem to, yes I do have Cajun Craze. Right, also in the paper, she's going to have just dark Cajun Craze, he's going to have both, so let's pop the light down first. Just going to turn that and hopefully still be in camera, yes. To check that it is the right colour. I managed to mix up my light Cajun Craze with my dark Calypso Coral. Don't know quite how I managed it, but I did. And they are quite different. Right, and then we're going to actually give her dark Cajun Craze hair, I think. So give him some definition in his beard. I will be coming back in with the light in a moment, but I just want that to not be a flat colour. And then she can have, are we in camera, just and then back in with this. Gosh, how are we? 16 minutes, that's way too long. See, this is where a lot of people would do a fast forward. I don't do fast forward. I just keep going. Right, okay, so let's zoom out like that. And very quickly, I'm going to cut these out. Actually, I'm going to do my die first, not my die, my embossing. So I have got a piece of, somewhere buried here, there it is, a piece of cinnamon cider that I have die cut with the So Sweetly dies, which are part of the So Sentimental bundle. And let's pop that there. I've got a Pretty Peacock ink pad and the Cobweb 3D embossing folder. One side is raised cobweb, one side is not. So I'm going to take my ink pad and drag it across my embossing folder. Like that. Close that up before I get ink everywhere. And then, now, because it's a 3D embossing folder, I'm using the 4 plate, which does come with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Then I'm going to pop on my piece of card. I'm just trying to get it so that it's got a really nice cobweb. I mean, they're all really nice cobwebs. Close your embossing folder, pop it onto your number 1 mat plate, wind through like that, and pop that on the floor. Eek, didn't want to do that. Did I get away with it? Eek, come along. Just, phew, phew. And then this will just clean up with a wet wipe or run it under a tap. Either will do. Pop it to one side so it doesn't get all over everything. Get rid of my base plate. Right, okay, so I have a Pretty Peacock card base, another piece of the plaid tidings. I need to very quickly fussy cut, and I'm going to do this as quickly as I possibly can. It's not going to be the best fussy cutting I've ever done, but it will be good enough for jazz, as they say. It's a relatively easy shape to fussy cut. Because there's a lot of straight. Then all we need to do is stamp our sentiment, and we're pretty close to being finished. I've got one tiny tip, but other than that we will be good to go. So not the best fussy cutting I've ever done, but probably some of the fastest fussy cutting I've done. So that's one done. That's scrap. Right, this is not quite such an easy shape to do. Actually, I'm going to come in there. I like to come in round a corner rather than straight into a corner. And then up to there, around here, around her hair, and then around her hat. So do remember, if you've got any questions or comments, please leave those below the description bar. I always come back and read them and answer them, so do feel free to do that. In the description bar below this video you'll find a link to my blog post, which will have more pictures, so close-ups, a bit more information, a list of products including pictures of the products so you can see the whole thing. If you're in the UK and need any Stampin' Up products, I would be thrilled if you would order through my online store. There's a link to that in the description bar and on my website. So to get to my website, if you go to the description bar and click the associated blog post, you will get there. Right, okay, so there is, as I say, just one more thing that I want to show you. Quite like, that's what I'm looking for, a bone folder. Right, okay, so I find that if you don't want the white to stand out, if you go round the edge with one of the pale greys, this is light smoky slate, and just go round and make sure that everything that's white is not. And you can do these if you're just stamping as well, you can just draw around the edge, but it's particularly good if you're fussy cutting, particularly if you're not shaking. Much easier if you're not shaking, and it doesn't stand out as being white, so it looks less obviously cut out. And particularly if you've got not particularly wonderful fussy cutting, it covers up a lot of the problems. So it makes it look much more even. All for the sake of just whizzing around the edge. And again, I'm using the flat of the brush tip rather than the point. And there we go. Right, okay, so piece of Mango Melody card, and oh, I've got my Happy Haunting already mounted up. Grab my Pretty Peacock. This is going to be an interesting colour combination, Pretty Peacock onto Mango Melody, but it should be fine. And it is. Get that out of the way, bring in my mini chopper to cut that down about there, and find my paper snips. Now there is the Banners Pick-a-Punch, but you can equally just cut up the middle of your piece of card and then cut towards that point, and you get a really nice flag that way. Right, okay, let's pop this together quicker than you can say. I'm a card maker. And do remember that the whole point of these projects is to see whether you prefer the Christmas or the Halloween version. So please do leave a comment below telling me. And we'll see which is the preferred. No, I think I want that cobweb at the top. So liquid adhesive, because that's got more chance of actually sticking to the raised areas. And also it won't flatten. And then pop that down towards the bottom and the right of the card, like that. And then this is going to go there, this is going to go there, and this is going to go there, but we are going to be popped up. So 1, 2. 1, 2, and because I have them, I'm going to pop a small dimensional at the top of each of the hats. You could use a half dimensional or a side piece, and then, I don't know why I was throwing that away in some cavalier fashion because I need it. Curl the end a little bit, pop on one, pop that there, and if you peel that off and that off, I can pop this down knowing that I've got a dimensional where I want one near the edge. Turn over, grab my snips, cut the edge off, take the backings off these, pop down one, stick yourself to your dimensional, and a mere 22 minutes later, good grief, we have our second Halloween version. So let me bring in, that was our Christmas version, this is our first Halloween version. So which do you prefer, Halloween or Christmas? Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, do leave a comment, do subscribe. Do pop over to my website to see close-ups and the full list of products and that sort of thing. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye!